Hey, it's Jordan with Status Coup. President Biden has some very interesting, I think, backwards comments on Zionism and him being a Zionist. Meanwhile, his allies and corporate ghouls running the Democratic Party gave some very illuminating and, shall we say, tone-deaf answers on the Michigan primary tonight, and their top concern being the political implications of the genocide going on in Gaza. First, let's listen to Biden. He was on Late Night with Seth Meyers last night.
I think the only way Israel ultimately survives, and I make no bones about it, I get criticized for having said a long time ago, you need not be a Jew to be a Zionist. I'm a Zionist. Were there no Israel, there's not a Jew in the world to be safe.
If there was no Israel, Jews would be unsafe all over the world. I'm a Jew. I'm certainly not a religious Jew. I don't really practice Judaism. My father and members of my family are much more religious than I and Zionistic than I. But basically what Biden is saying there, with a very backwards definition of Zionism, by the way, is for the Jews to be safe, we have to allow Palestinians and innocent Arabs be slaughtered. That's just the price of safety for Jews. Well, as a Jew, I am not going to accept my safety or my fellow Jews' safety. I am not going to accept that our safety is contingent on oppressing, murdering, slaughtering, and committing genocide on anyone else, particularly the Palestinians that we are slaughtering in Gaza. That's what he's saying there. He could use the talking point that it's Hamas doing it and Hamas's fault, but he's writing the check. And by the way, what he claims makes him a Zionist of Israel, you know, we need a country for Israel, for the Jews to be safe. If you go through history, that's actually not the true origins of Zionism. The true origins of Zionism, and, you know, sorry if I'm going to offend some Zionists out there, particularly my father and the whole God gave us the land brigade, but the true origins of Zionism is what I believe is a fairy tale story, of the Abraham covenant, the famed Abraham covenant from Genesis. Hope I'm not boring you, but this is important. Now the Lord said to Abraham, go from your country and your kindred and your father's house to the land that I will show you, and I will make of you a great nation, and I will bless you and make your name great so that you will be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you, and him who dishonors you and will curse, and in you all the families of the earth shall be blessed. That is how Abram became Abraham. The true origins of Zionism predate Theodore Herzl, predate a lot of the 19th and 20th century Zionism, and go all the way back to Genesis and some stories that you could believe if you want. I do not. Okay, so the origins of Zionism were not to create a safe space for Jews. It was a religious fanaticism that God spoke to Abraham and gave him Israel. That is, in many, many of the people making murderous decisions' minds, that is the license and the justification for slaughtering a whole generation of innocent Palestinians. And I will not co-sign that. And Biden could call himself whatever he wants, but right now he is co-signing genocide. Plain and simple. But I want to also show you the moral depravity of the corporate Democrats who seem more focused on the political implications. Tonight is the Michigan primary and the uncommitted campaign. Everybody's waiting to see how many Michigan voters vote uncommitted as a protest vote against Biden's blank check for the genocide going on in Gaza. Let me show you James Carville and his
vote uncommitted instead of for President Biden. What do you think about the concerns about that? Are they well-founded? Is this being blown out of proportion? What do you think?
Well, first of all, congratulations on your new show. I'm honored to be a part of it.
Thanks, James.
I think this issue is deep, and I think it's a lot deeper than just progressive advocates or young people or college campuses. I hope the president can get some kind of ceasefire and take this off the front burner, because frankly, its damage politically is pretty substantial. And if we get to Chicago at the convention and this thing is still going on, I don't want to think about what's going to happen there.
You know, I hope Biden gets that whole genocide thing off the front pages. It's not looking good. We don't, I don't want to think about it. He's more focused on the political implications and the stain of this being on the front pages than 30,000 innocent people being slaughtered. By the way, 19,000 of whom are women and children. It was this kind of thinking, by the way, of a lot of Americans and American leaders back when the Jews were being exterminated in Germany in the 1930s and 40s. We don't really need that on the front pages here. We got to focus on our house. Out of sight, out of mind. That's what he's saying there. This has nefarious political implications, Carville says. Do you have a moral compass? Do you care about anything other than power? It's truly, truly unbelievable.
Yeah. And I guess there's also the concern, James, that the margin could be close enough in Michigan that this could have an impact. Do you buy that? Is that something that's been talked about as a concern inside the party?
I have to see, but it did look like the early vote was impressive. Now, they have a good state party there. The UAW, the unions are very organized, so that may not be telling us much. I think we're just going to have to wait till they count the ballots tonight and see what it does and make a determination. But regardless of what happens, this Gaza thing is really tearing the Democratic Party. I would say tearing it apart, but it certainly there's certainly divisions within the party, and a lot of people just don't like this.
I mean, now is Democratic.
This Gaza thing is really no good for the Democratic Party. That Gaza thing you're talking about is a genocide that your party and your president are writing a check for. This is how highly, highly overpaid Democratic Party consultants and gas bags think about a historical war crime happening out in real time. Not just him, though. Not just Carville. David Axelrod, who was Obama's senior advisor. He was on about this Michigan uncommitted campaign. Let's see what he had to say.
The protest vote movement against Biden in the primary, it is loud. The impact of it, though, is TBD. I mean, what do you think of it?
Well, look, I think that they are trying to draw attention to the issue. There is a real political issue here, which is there's a large Arab American vote around the city of Detroit, Palestinian Americans among them. And what they do in November in a battleground state is really meaningful. So this will be viewed as a barometer of that problem. And if there are large numbers of people who vote uncommitted, I think it's going to create a lot of chatter. But I don't think the Biden administration needs a whole lot of reminders about the difficulty of this issue. And I think they're hoping to get some resolution and some progress long before November, and create the contrast with Trump, who's hardly been a friend of the Arab American community.
Yeah, so this whole uncommitted vote, if there's enough of them, might create some chatter on that whole genocide thing going on. I mean, he wasn't as bad as Carville, but still, just a casual talk about politics when something like this is going on. It's disgusting. Not that the Republicans aren't equally as heinous. They're co-signing this. They're totally down with the genocide going on. By the way, so is RFK Jr. for those RFK Jr. lovers. He's actually more Zionistic than Biden is, and completely supports what's going on. It's just heinous. And, as a Jewish person, again, I'm not religious. I celebrate the holidays mainly because my family does, and I spend time with my family at holiday dinners. But I'm not opposed to Jewish people having a land for themselves, nor other religions having a land for themselves. For me, I wouldn't personally be attracted to living in a country that's identity is based on religion, but that's live where you want. And I'm not against a religious-based country. But if that religious-based country is coming from colonialism and genocide and oppressing another people or another religion, I am 100% against that. And anyone with a good conscience, I believe, should be. That doesn't mean, blame all the people that live in Israel. If you're going to blame everyone who lives in Israel and tell them you have to leave because Palestinians lived here, then the same thing can be said for all of us that are occupying indigenous land. Same thing goes in Great Britain and France and this and that. We're all technically on somebody else's land. Some have been occupiers longer than others. Obviously, Israel is less than 100 years old. I'm not against a Jewish-based country, but I am against the slaughter, and I mean it's been decades of murder and genocide, and obviously months of an acceleration of that. You can't, in good conscience, look the other way. Whether you're Jewish, Arab, it doesn't matter. And I have family in Israel. I have people I love that are very pro-Zionistic. I'm not against them. I want the hostages released, but that doesn't mean looking the other way to a real-time genocide playing out. I want to play you a clip from our coverage last night in New York City. I thought it was very powerful. Let's take a look.
My name is Priscilla, and I am thankful to be here with all of you, the heroes who have been taking the streets for almost 5 months in demand of both a ceasefire and a free Palestine. Because of your fearlessness, people worldwide, especially in the United States, finally fully understand the 75-year genocide and are now relentlessly demanding a free Palestine.
We've covered over 30 of these protests, but Biden is not listening to these people. All he has to do is listen to the American people and pick up the phone, and this would be over in 5 minutes if he pulls funding.